How's everyone doing today? Good. Thank you guys for coming to my little seminar. I won't take up too much of your guys' afternoons, but for those of you that don't know, my name is Desi and I am the program director for NotMeSD. Before I get into what we're here to talk about today, does anybody know what NotMeSD is? There's a few ladies I recognize that have been through my program before, but you know what? I guess that's my job then to tell you guys about it. So NotMeSD was a program that's in one of my slides. We'll go ahead and get into it. I keep forgetting sometimes about what we're talking about today. But hey, so we were founded in 2019, and we were San Diego County gun owners' response to end domestic violence and sexual assaults in San Diego. So 63% of sexual assaults are unreported for fear of their partner and or retaliation, right? Statistics show that 91% of the time, the women knew the victim or the person who sexually assaulted her. 1 in 3 women will experience sexual assault involving physical contact at some point in their lifetime. And actually, those statistics were wrong. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. So in 8 out of 10 cases, the woman knew the individual who sexually assaulted her. But sexual assaults are 91% of the time women. And that's why we're here today, is because I want to talk about some different tools as to why women are often seen as easier targets, and some tools that you guys can use to potentially protect yourselves, and what tools you can actually have in your tool belt to defend yourself. So let's talk about it. So why are women seen as easier targets than men? Anybody in the audience care to share an answer?
They're preoccupied.
They're preoccupied, yep, that's one of them. Anybody else?
Just physically seeming weaker.
Yep, stature, seem weaker, right? So those are all great answers. And so I actually, of course, did a lot of research, but these are things that I kind of talk about all the time. So one of the first reasons why women are often seen as easier targets because they seem weak and they're vulnerable, right? So the prey is too weak, they're running, or they're not being able to fight back, so those are easy prey for predators. The other one is their isolation or separation. So think about when women are walking by themselves, right? Some women might seem often easier targets because they're by themselves and there's no one else to kind of jump in and help defend them. Distraction. Ashley kind of nailed that on the head. So think about a lot of times when you're out and about and you're just on your cell phone, right? You're kind of texting, you're typing, you're not paying attention. That makes you an easier target, right? So there's also the fear, the hesitancy, or submissiveness. So if you show signs that you're afraid or you're intimidated, that also might be seen as an easier target to a predator. Or you have high value items. So think about if you have like really expensive jewelry that you wear, right? Or if you're carrying large amounts of cash. Those are things that can make you be seen as an easier target. So these are kind of the top 5 reasons why we like to talk about why women are seen as easier targets than men. But now I want to get into what we can do to make ourselves look less as a target, and then also what tools you can keep in your tool belt to protect yourselves. So when we talk about, let's just kind of break it down. So for weakness and vulnerability, again, your prey seems weak. So what can you do to help make yourself not seem that way? You can carry yourself with confidence. Wear comfortable clothing, right? Like I'm in jeans and just like a t-shirt and sneakers right now. Be conscious of your surroundings. And always have a plan. So when we talk about being conscious of your surroundings, think about if you're at, say, the grocery store and you're loading groceries into your car. You always want to be scanning the different directions, right? Because a lot of times situations can happen and being attacked when you're loading groceries into the back of your car and you're just not paying attention. So no matter what, you always want to be scanning the different areas. And if something happens, have a plan of how you can react to that situation. Doesn't matter what that plan is. Is it get away? Do I get into my car and lock the door, right? So you always want to have a plan to protect yourself. Isolation and separation. Simple as not being isolated, right? Or always walk in pairs. I don't know how many times as a kid my parents told me, always walk in a group, always have the buddy system, right? So we always practice the buddy system no matter where you're at. Whether that be 2 or 3 people, not traveling by yourself can also protect your life. Distractions. Pay attention, right? So always be scanning, kind of like what we talked about, potential predators. Now, I know we don't like to distinguish and say, or what is that? I don't want to say that person's a predator, right? Like we don't, what's the word I'm looking for? There you go, sorry. We don't like to stereotype that. I think that this person's a predator. But sometimes in our mind, we can think that because of the way the person's acting or what the person's wearing. In our minds, we might stereotype a person, but that could also be the difference between life and death because you never know if that person is really going to hurt you. Trust your gut instinct, right? I know a lot of times like we get that gut instinct that something doesn't feel right, like what is going on here? And so trust your gut, because sometimes your gut is telling you this could be something that's going wrong. Let's also talk about fear, hesitancy, or submissiveness. So showing confidence, I like to talk about this a lot because sometimes we're just kind of walking like this, or we're just kind of, moseying around. But if you're walking like with emphasis and with force, that can be a big game changer. Carry yourself with your head held high, right? So no, we're just kind of walking like this, right? Because that's just not showing confidence. Make eye contact. Like if you see someone that you think is stalking you, don't be afraid to make eye contact with them and say, hey, I see you. I know you're watching me and I know that you're following me. Because as soon as you make eye contact with them and you know that they notice you, they're not going to follow you anymore, right? That can be a big game changer. And speak with confidence and with force. None of this, stop, don't come after me. It's stop, don't come after me, right? Like you really want to use your voice and use that emphasis as you're starting to talk to these people. So, but I think one of the big ones that I always like to emphasize is the making eye contact. Because, hey, I see you is different than, all right, now they're upon me, right? So that could be a really nice big game changer too. High value items. So how many of you individuals here work in a situation you might have to carry cash with you at different times? No one? All right, that's good. Well, maybe, right? So high valuables, like, again, really expensive jewelry or really expensive items like that, or having to carry cash. Let's say you work in a store and you have to take the cash to the banker at night. Carrying high valuable items like this can make you an easier target from a predator. So if you have those different items, try not to make it shown, right? Conceal it somehow. Or if you have expensive jewelry, it's great to wear that stuff, but just don't be like, hey, look at me, I've got all my expensive stuff, because that could make you an easier target. I want to talk next about the awareness levels. Have any of you guys seen this awareness level before? Right? This is pretty common for those of us that are in the industry, and we kind of talk about this a lot. So your first level, which is where you're kind of relaxed and you're completely unaware of what's going on. So this could be you're sitting at home on the couch, you're watching a movie, or you're just very relaxed, like you're in your own environment, right? That's kind of your status white. Yellow is you're relaxed, what you're aware, right? So it's minimal, acceptable level in public or carrying a firearm. So I would say right now in this situation, I consider myself being in yellow because I'm definitely aware, right? But there's really no threats going on here because I think that we're in a very safe place here, right? Like, these are all my gun-loving people here. So I'm kind of relaxed, but I'm definitely aware of what's going on. Orange is going to be your next level, to where I've maybe identified a threat and you're attempting to verify and maybe evade that situation if possible. So let's use the situation or the example of putting groceries into your car. I'm putting groceries into my car and I notice out of the corner of my eye, there's a predator that's starting to walk towards me. Now I'm having to decide, what am I going to do, right? Am I going to continue to put my groceries in my car, or am I going to scrap that and drop into my car and drive away or lock the doors? What am I going to do? So in those kind of situations where you've already identified a threat, that is going to be your awareness level of orange. Now red, of course, is you verified the threat, and now you have to think about how to actually get out of that situation. You're going to execute whatever you're going to do. So for us gun owners, is it, do I pull my gun to now protect myself? Or if I carry pepper spray, what am I going to do to protect myself now to get out of that situation? So when you guys are thinking about, where you're at in public or at different situations, it's always kind of good to understand the different awareness levels that you're in, depending on how threatened you might feel. Typically, again, most of us stay in the yellow level, but sometimes we go to orange, again, if you're living in a maybe sketchy neighborhood or something, right? But red, again, a threat's been identified and now you have to react. So as we go through these next scenarios, I want to talk about self-defense tools that you can have in your tool belt. And we're going to talk through these all individually, but of course you. That's your first self-defense tool, is you. Pepper spray. How many of you guys in here carry pepper spray? So most of my girls should, right? Knives, which knives are yes, no, maybe so, right? Because those are considered lethal forces, and of course a firearm. So now let's talk about the different levels that these would be considered. So pepper spray is a less than lethal force, right? Knives are a lethal force because you can't actually kill somebody with that along with a firearm. So for me personally, if I can use pepper spray to avoid a situation, I'm going to, because the consequences are going to be a lot less than if I were to say use a knife or my firearm. So I'm always going to choose a less than lethal way instead of a lethal force such as a knife or a firearm. And the reason why I cross out taser is because I personally don't like them, because you literally have to be here to stop somebody with it, right? Compared to pepper spray, I could be from here to you, because typically, depending on what pepper spray you're using, it's about 12 to 15 feet. Firearms, of course, if you're proficient, right, you can shoot pretty far, but I don't recommend tasers because you have to get too close. Knives are the same way. Like if you ever actually had to use one, I mean, it's pepper spray or technically firearms in my opinion, but I collect knives, so that's why I put that up there too. So we talk about pepper spray. The reason why we like that is because it's less than lethal, right? Again, I'm gonna stop somebody with pepper spray. I'm not gonna kill them with it. I'm gonna stop them for just long enough so that way I can get away. Pepper spray can be used on animals. How many of you guys in here have dogs you go and walk all the time during the day or at night, right? So you can carry pepper spray, say, on your little dog leash. So if another animal comes at you to stop that other animal, you can use pepper spray on that animal as well. It's not gonna kill them, it's only gonna stop them so that way you and your animal can get away. Something really cool, especially if you go running, right? If you're a runner, keep it on your hand. That way if someone tries to attack you, you have your pepper spray. And of course, it's easy to carry. I have mine in my purse with me at all times. I have it in my pocket. One of my girls carries it right here in her bra, so if she needs to, she can just pull it out really easily. So it's very easy to carry. Knives, again, you can carry a pocket knife. You can keep them hidden around the house, which if you break into my house, it's a bad day because I have a lot of different toys hidden around my house, just don't ask. And you can keep it in your glove box, right? So they're just a handy tool to have in general, just in case you need one. And then you. So when we talk about you, we talk about using your voice, right? We kind of already went through this a little bit. Use your voice with emphasis. Don't do the stop, it's stop, right? So you want to really be able to use your voice in a way to stop that predator. Trust your gut instincts. If your gut is telling you something is wrong, something probably is wrong. The buddy system, kind of like what we talked a little bit about earlier. Travel in pairs, make sure it's not just you at all times, especially if you're traveling like in a dark place at night. Don't be afraid to ask the gentleman, hey, can you walk me to my car, right? Like, guys are more than willing to help do that whenever you can. And take self-defense classes. So self-defense to me can mean a number of different things. It can be learning how to use pepper spray in a more efficient way. It could be Krav Maga, women's self-defense classes, right? So there's a lot of different types of women's classes out there that you can take that specialize in helping women protect themselves. I think I went through this pretty quick. Sanji, can we have audio if I do a video? Will it work?
It'll only come out of your...
Oh, that won't work then.
Yeah.
So let's do this. So I want to kind of talk about some of the things that NotMe has done so that we kind of know where we've come from. So on May, did that one not go through? I used to have pictures up there, but they're not coming up. So you guys remember Dane White, Mayor of Escondido, right? So last month, he actually gave us a proclamation from the city of Escondido for the work that NotMeSD does in San Diego County, which was great because that was a nice, yes, it was awesome. It was a great follow-up to the proclamation that we got last year from the County Board of Supervisors. Now, if you guys remember that supervisor by the name of Nathan Fletcher, you guys remember him, right? So on the day that we were recognized for the work that we do in San Diego County, he was being asked to leave the Board of Supervisors. So if you guys remember what his allocations were, to have us being, recognized on the same day, it was kind of not so coincidental, just so you know. Yeah, a little ironic, but I mean, we were very appreciative of what that did. And so when the Mayor, Dane White, did the same thing for us, we were very appreciative as well. Now my goal is to get that from every mayor in San Diego, just so you know. But we have, at this point from NotMeSD, about 1,225 graduates, which for those of you that live in San Diego, that's not a big number because there's a lot of people in San Diego that still need our help, but we're always willing to. And I will open it up for questions. I know I went through that pretty quickly, but any questions on what we just went over?
What do you need to do to become a graduate?
Wait, hold on. Sorry.
Wait.
Can you just... So this isn't a microphone. It doesn't amplify your voice. It just records it for the online community, just so you know.
What do you need to do to become a graduate?
Just go through the program. So as long as you've gone through the program, you've taken advantage of our resources, that considers you a graduate through the NotMeSD program.
I've heard about the usage of pepper gel as an alternative to pepper spray. Do you have an opinion?
Gel isn't as effective because it doesn't have as further as a reach as, say, a pepper spray does. So it's very similar, but we like spray, which is like palm pepper spray, which is what we train with all the time. So that's what we recommend. The gel, again, it's not as far of a spray as you can do.
Anybody
Any
else?
questions? I kept it short and sweet so you guys can have your afternoon back.
All right, well, help us.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.